welcome to the Orlando World Sunday Showdown round of 64. In this week's special edition, we put two very similar attractions up against each other, with Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress at Magic Kingdom going head-to-head with the now-defunct sister attraction, Horizons from Epcot. Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress is a rotating theatre attraction featuring animatronic stage sets. It is located in the Tomorrowland section of Magic Kingdom, and opened at the park on the 15th of January, 1975. The ride was originally based at the World's Fair in 1964, as the showcase centerpiece for General Electric's Pavilion, and received so much critical acclaim, that the attraction was then permanently housed at Disneyland in California from 1967 to 1973, before finding its forever home at Magic Kingdom. Steeped in both nostalgia and futurism, the attraction's premise is an exploration of the joys of living through the advent of electricity and other technological advances during the 20th century via a typical American family. To keep it up with the times, the attraction has been updated 5 times throughout its existence, and has had 2 different theme songs, both written by the Sherman Brothers, Disney's Academy Award-winning songwriting team. The Carousel of Progress holds the record as the longest-running stage show in the history of American theatre. It is one of the oldest attractions in the Walt Disney World Resort. It is also the oldest attraction at Walt Disney World to have been touched by Walt Disney. The attraction goes through various decades from the 20s, 40s, 60s and a brief look at the 21st century, showing how advances in technology has impacted on the lives of the family. Carousel of Progress highlights the innovation of electric, and how it advanced technology throughout the years from the creation of the television, telephone, talking appliances, and modern-day virtual reality, and high-definition gadgets. The attraction is deemed as the epitome of what Disney stands for, and continues to evolve, while maintaining the core values of what traditional Disney attractions are all about. Massive success of Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress, Disney opened a new attraction, often referred to as a direct sequel to the attraction, when it opened Horizons at Epcot Center on the 1st of October, 1983 in the Future World section, and opened exactly 1 year after the park, within the second phased opening of the park, as a way of marking the first birthday of Epcot. Horizons was the only attraction in Future World to showcase all of Epcot's Future World elements: communication, community interaction, energy, transportation, anatomy, physiology, along with humankind's relationship to the sea, land, air, and space. Horizons featured a continuation of the original family from Carousel of Progress and how they would live in the 21st century. The ride operated using a different system, opting for the Omnimover system, used in other attractions like Haunted Mansion, instead of the revolving theatre, and featured several animatronic sets, similar to the layout of World of Motion and Universe of Energy. Now let's head into an exciting series of rounds to see which of these two amazing attractions will advance to the round of 32. Here we go. Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress is a typically classic Disney ride, featuring a complex animatronic system which is used to create very intricately detailed environments, which were presented inside a revolving theatre. The show includes an innovative audience seating area that moves around a stationary central stage for each act. In the true spirit of progress, the show was reworked in 1994 to its initial incarnation with the original theme song intact as a tribute to nostalgia, titled There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. After a brief introduction, your theatre rotates to reveal Act 1, set on Valentine's Day around the turn of the century. After our host, John, tells the audience about the current state of modern conveniences, all pre-electricity, the theme music, There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, plays as the theatre rotates again, where it takes us to the 1920s, and we see the family preparing for the 4th of July celebration. The father shows off all the new electric-powered conveniences, including the vacuum, electric lights, oven, and refrigerator. In Act 3, the John of the 1940s tells us that he's entered the rat race by living in the suburbs and commuting to work. We also see the benefits of his new refrigerator, television and, most importantly, indoor plumbing. The theatre turns one more time to reveal Act 4, with the family celebrating Christmas on the eve of the new century. The family's automated oven manages to burn the Christmas turkey to a crisp, and the show concludes with a final rotation into the finale, from which the audience is dismissed. Theming has changed several times, so much so that Rover the dog has gone through many changes in the history of the attraction. His colour has changed from white, at the World's Fair, to light brown and dark brown. His name has even changed, and has been Buster, Sport, Queenie, and Rover. In this most recent version, Rover has been given new life and is the most realistic version ever seen. Theming is classic, with the puppet-like, retro style, which even to this day still looks incredible. Horizons was considered phase 2 of the Carousel of Progress story, to the point where its theme and storyline were very similar to the predecessor attraction. The main differences were obviously the progress in the story to the 21st century, looking at even more innovation for the future, taking in several of Epcot's future world elements: communication, community interaction, energy, transportation, anatomy, physiology, along with humankind's relationship to the sea, land, air, and space. Horizons was the only attraction within Epcot at the time which integrated all of these elements into one ride, with others opting for a selection of various elements instead. Horizons' theming was just a bit better than that of Carousel of Progress, being that almost 2 decades had passed since the original attraction was built, which meant that Horizons was able to progress with technology and was a bit more advanced in terms of what was staged throughout the ride. Horizons also focused on multiple show scenes compared to the few that Carousel of Progress had, which gave more variety to riders. Horizons was just a bit better at showcasing the progress than the Tomorrowland attraction, but for nostalgic reasons, many still feel the original is better. However, after the first round, the successor attractions, Horizons, takes the first point of the contest, as we move into round 2. Carousel of Progress is a fairly lengthy attraction, being one of a handful to top the 20-minute mark. It is currently the longest ride for duration at Magic Kingdom, but surprisingly isn't quite the longest attraction within the Disney Resort area. The attraction, although being fairly lengthy in duration, doesn't pass as slowly as some may think, as the narrative and the animatronics continuously tell a story, along with a catchy theme song, which keeps you entertained throughout. The ride is filled with thousands of objects which catch your eye every time you ride, where often riders are focused on several objects which hold a nostalgic place for older generations, but some educational value for younger riders. Carousel of Progress clocks in at 20 minutes and 45 seconds, which is just the right amount of time for an attraction of this type. Horizons was one of the lengthier attractions when it was open, being a very similar ride to Carousel of Progress. The ride was a quarter of the length shorter, but packed in much more for the duration, as the ride moved continuously via the Omnimover system, instead of moving at end portions of segments. Horizons was able to tell the story while on the move, which did make better use of its time than Carousel of Progress, as the story naturally progressed from one scene to the next, keeping it more interesting, as you always were intrigued by what was coming next, meaning it passed quickly, but was more enjoyable for its duration. The ride clocked in at 14 minutes and 45 seconds, which means that in the second round, it was just a fair bit shorter than Carousel of Progress, although it did offer a better range of variety for the duration. The scores are level as we head to round 3. Carousel of Progress is one of the highest capacity rides per hour in Florida. What is more incredible is the fact that the attraction is over 4 decades old, and the fact it is a theatre that moves makes it remarkable that it can accommodate such a high amount of guests at a time. The main theatre itself only holds 240 people, but each pre-show area can accommodate the same amount, meaning each show can accommodate around 1,000 people per cycle, giving a total of around 3,600 guests per hour. Horizons, being a quicker attraction, does offer more show for its length, and using the Omnimover means it can consistently roll through guests at quicker pace, although the capacity for the ride is fairly shorter than Carousel of Progress. Much of this is down to the ride speed, which is only 4 miles per hour. any faster and the mystique of the ride would be lost. So for round 3, Horizons dropped a second point in a row to Carousel of Progress, which goes into the lead heading into the 4th round. Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress has lasted over 46 years due to its immense popularity from its inception at the 1964 World's Fair. The result of the collaboration with Key was Progressland, one of the most successful and exciting exhibits at the 1964 World's Fair. At the New York World's Fair in 1964, as many as 4,500 people per day enjoyed the Progressland show. The widespread enthusiasm for it was absolutely remarkable, for almost 16 million visitors flocked to see the show. Its popularity is still incredible to this day, but being a slightly different version to the original concept in 1964, it manages to entertain thousands of guests each day. Many Disney park fans have long debated about which of these two related attractions was more popular, with both Carousel of Progress and Horizons both having loyal fans claiming each was better than the other. Carousel of Progress has a charm, which guests have a longing affection for, being an innovative attraction that was built to be moved around, showcasing to millions of people. The attraction has an essence of Disney, which was distinctly a Walt Disney attraction, which you could feel that Walt Disney himself had put a lot of his own genius into. That's what makes the ride so special, as it captures Disney's core concept exceptionally well. Horizons by comparison shared very similar traits to Carousel of Progress. The attraction is generally considered as the sequel to Carousel of Progress, but aims to take things to the next level. The attraction certainly made waves when it first opened, and was extremely popular for a number of years. Many fans felt it offered a little bit more of everything that Carousel of Progress had, while others felt it did lack a little of the charm and mystique of its predecessor, where many people thought it was better in some ways, but with Carousel of Progress being the original concept, more people tended to stick to Carousel of Progress as being their pick of the two attractions. However, Horizons still to this day, despite closing over 2 decades ago, still has a fierce following, showing that it was an extremely popular ride back in its day. But a lack in sponsorship, and rumoured issues with the building and maintenance, the ride closed and was demolished soon after and replaced by Mission Space. So heading into the 5th and final round, Carousel of Progress takes the point. Let's head into the final round. Carousel of Progress, in terms of the ultimate thrill, is by all accounts a very tame attraction, as is it merely a theatrical presentation with animatronics. However, in terms of thrills and the way of excitement and enjoyment value, Carousel of Progress is one of the best original attractions anywhere in Disney theme parks. The attraction has long been noted as being one of the most typical Walt Disney-styled attractions, bringing the core value of Disney and its marvelous storytelling and genius engineering to life. Carousel of Progress may not have the fear or thrill factors of some bigger rides, or even the excitement levels, but one thing that not many attractions can beat is its sheer embodiment of what a Disney ride should be. The attraction is, as its name suggests, a carousel of progress, which is able to make subtle changes to keep relevant, making it one of the most important attractions in Disney history. Horizons in many ways improved upon the standard set by Carousel of Progress, combining the classic theatre-style elements with theatrical screen presentations, bringing a bit more educational value to the ride than Carousel of Progress. Horizons was slightly different in its presentation, and with a more varied amount of stage sets. To many people, it was just a bit more exciting, as you travelled through multiple areas, where Carousel of Progress only had a few. The attraction didn't quite hit the special qualities of the original ride, mostly because it wasn't quite the new innovation that Carousel of Progress was at the time. However, Horizons did a great job of improving and upscaling where the prequel ride left off, and offered just a little bit more as an overall attraction. Which means in the final round, Horizons takes the final point. So, after a thrilling battle, we do have a winner. which does mean sadly, that the now defunct Epcot attraction, Horizons, drops out of the competition. Horizons was an extremely good attraction that was sadly cut way too short for its time. Hopefully one day in the future we may see a modern day take on the former attraction which was adored by so many. Carousel of Progress advances to the next round. Join us next week where we see Remy's Ratatouille adventure, which at time of publishing this video has still not opened at the French Pavilion of Epcot, due to the current worldwide health crisis and park closures. Going head to head with Na'vi River Journey at Animal Kingdom, we will use all confirmed available statistics for the Orlando version, and compare to the Disneyland Paris version. Hope you will join us. See you next week. We hope you enjoy this video. Please support us by subscribing to our channel. Have you seen our photo flashback series featuring this week's attractions? You can check the links in the description down below. You can find us on social media platforms. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Orlando Worlds, and on Instagram at the Orlando Worlds. Thanks for watching.